everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to be creating a kaleidoscope pattern, number 40. Now, I know you guys are like, wait a minute, you jumped ahead. No. I have a lot of different kaleidoscope patterns, but I had to start somewhere, and this one just popped out at me. So right here, I'm starting with a Skinner blend of a 1.5 inch in diameter type blend. It's a green and white, and then I'm wrapping this up in my black from a number 1 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. I'm going to cut this and make it come flush so it goes all the way around. I'm going to cut off the excess, and then I'm going to add in a checker all the way around this. And it's going to come right from my stack again, and that stack is going to be done on a number 1 setting with my Atlas pasta machine. Now remember, when I cut this slice, okay, from my stack here, I'm going to run that through my Atlas pasta machine, and it's going to be on a number 1 setting, so it's all the same thickness. This is how I can get that nice checker all the way around and it looks uniform. Once I get this checker placed all the way around, I'm going to wrap this again with another layer of black on a number 1 setting from my Atlas pasta machine. Okay, so once I get this black around, you're going to notice that this stump is about 1 inch tall, and I want to say the diameter of this, once I got it all finished up, was about 2 inches. Using even pressure all the way around this particular cane, I'm going to go ahead and reduce it down, and then we'll set this to the side and we'll start working on our next one, which will be done in purple and white and done in the same way that I've done the green and white right here. Okay, so our simple purple and white Skinner blend with the checker is a little bit larger than 2 inches, but that's not a big deal. Again, we're going to go ahead and reduce this. I'm getting my barbell look just by that even pressure going all the way around, and then I'll start to roll it out with my hand and get more and more of a length here. Okay, so our next cane is a Skinner blend of turquoise, magenta, and yellow. It's 1 inch by 1.5 inches in diameter. It's a fan fold, and I'm then going to wrap this fan fold in my black on a number 1 setting. And then once I have that, we'll go ahead and trim it up. And then I'm going to take some of my magenta clay and I'm going to create just a pink log, right? A pink log. This will act as my registration mark on this particular cane. I'll have one on my yellow end and one on the blue end. Once I have these registration marks put down on this cane, I'm then going to go ahead and reduce this down, roll it out a little bit. Then I will cut this cane in half, and once I do, I'm going to take one part of that cane, I'm going to pinch the registration mark where the yellow side is at, pinch it into a point. That'll create a nice little petal-like cane, and then I'll take the other cane and pinch the other side. So I'll pinch the blue end and give that a point. Now there's one cane here I did not show how to do, and that was the turquoise and yellow cane, and that's really what it is. It's a fan fold. I have registration marks on both sides yet again. So if you need to, go ahead and do that, and make sure that the yellow end where you have the registration mark on the turquoise and yellow cane, that is pinched into a point just like I've done on these. Now that I've reduced these down, this particular, these petal canes wound up being about, I want to say, 3/4 of an inch one way and about a half an inch the other. So that gives you an idea. And then the bullseye canes all wound up probably about, oh yeah, close to an inch in diameter. Okay, so now I'm doing a piece of that black and white stack that I had rolled out in a #1 setting through my Atlas pasta machine, and again, thinned it out on a #1 setting. The blue was also done on a #1 setting. It's on one side, and then I take another piece of that turquoise blue, place it on the other side. Yes, it was also rolled out on my Atlas pasta machine on a #1 setting. Now that I have most of the simple canes created, we're going to start putting this combination together. So that turquoise with the black and white, we're going to put that next to one of the petal types that I have here with the pointed blue area. And then I'm going to come in with the bullseyes and the others, and we're going to just place this combination all together. And once I have this all together, I'll go ahead and use my ruler. I'll measure out a few more times on each of these pieces so that you'll have an idea of what you've got. Once I put this whole thing together, the green will act as my registration mark for the whole thing, okay? Now, mind you, the blue and the black over there, I've also got the pink stripe. That's going to show on the outside, but most all the rest of the outside of this cane, once I put it together, it's all going to be colored in black, okay? So you can't tell where everything is at unless you have a registration mark. And I wanted to have my green act as the main registration that I will be basing all of my triangles off of. So right here, I'm also bringing in another piece of that black and white stack done on a #1 setting. I'm going to take that, I'll run that through my pasta machine to make sure it's all the same thickness. And then once I have that, I place that right up against next to my piece here. I just want to add in just a little bit more, right? And then I added another piece of black because I didn't want that black and white, that stripe, to show on the one side. So I'm going to cover it with another piece of black, which was done in a #1 setting on my Atlas pasta machine. Okay, so this wad of canes is about 2¼ to 2½ inches tall. Once I have this all together, I'm going to cut one end of this, and I'm going to keep this piece. I'm going to bake it so it's nice and solid, and this will be my reference point for whenever I want to recreate this cane. This way I have everything right here. I can match everything up to this point and then bring it together and recreate it. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of this and I'm going to reduce this down. And once I reduce this down, I'll get it down to probably about, 3/4 of an inch or so. Once I do that, I'm going to cut this thing in half yet again because this thing can get kind of long. Once I cut it in half, I'm going to cut a slice of this, and this is now my rounded version of the original pattern. I'm going to place that together and I'm going to bake all of that together. I'm going to then take off the ends, and then we'll start creating all of the different kinds of kaleidoscope patterns you can get from just this one combination. All right, so with our triangle as our reference, we are going to be cutting off slices of these triangles and mirroring each of them. Now, each of these triangle pieces that you cut off will represent a triangle cane. With each of these slices, you will cut a second triangle piece and mirror it to the first. In doing this, you will get 3 different mirrored images or combinations. Also at this point, you'll be creating either one of the rounded 3-part kaleidoscopes, or you can create the square 4-part kaleidoscopes. I decided from this point I wanted to work on the square ones, so that's where we're going to begin. Okay, so right here I am taking my first set of mirrored triangles that when they come together, they have this diamond formation. Go ahead and from here start to push in on that cane then and reform it into a square cane. Once I have that square cane, then I'm going to cut this particular cane into 4 parts and then mirror each of these 4 smaller canes, giving me my first square kaleidoscope. Now, here's the thing. This is really me showing you how I create my square kaleidoscope. There are 9 different patterns in putting this all together. So instead of having to go through all of this showing you how I put these together, I'm just going to have this one example right here, and then I'm going to start just giving you the combinations. All right, so you saw how that cane came together. Right here, I wanted to show you, I'm giving you slices. Think of these as each a cane, all right? And in doing this, I wanted to give you also my example of how I figure out what my combinations are before I put any canes together. This is how I do it. I'll cut the slices first. I'll kind of use my blade to help square them up so they're exactly how I need them to figure out what that combination looks like. And then I move on to start making the canes. But right here, I wanted to show you my process also in, okay, this is how I cut the slices and I put it together as my pattern for my reference points. Okay, so getting my first set of combination, I go from my triangle and then I cut that in half, I get my mirror, and then I form it into my square, and then from my square cane, I cut it into 4 separate and equal pieces. I start creating a mirror with these pieces, and eventually this forms my first combination or pattern. Okay, to get my second combination, my first combination is a help, if you will. I will take half of that pattern and from that first combination, move it up and over onto the other side. This combination is not a complete mirror. However, if there was one cane you might want to have in the in the overall set of the 3, this would be the one that I would suggest having. And that is because when you cut slices from the second cane and place them together onto a sheet, it will give you both of the other patterns up and down on that sheet. To get my third combination from this mirrored cane, I would look at my reverse pattern cane and take the bottom half of that pattern and place that bottom half on the top of that cane. This gives you that third and final pattern in creating this set of square kaleidoscope canes. Okay, so I really wanted to review this again because I didn't feel like I did due diligence on how I really showed that. So I'm creating this pattern, okay? So this is your pattern. This will make it a lot easier for you. This is the original pattern I had. Take half of it, flip it on the other side. This gives you the reverse image or the reverse pattern. Take the bottom 2, place that on top. That gives you the third image or the third kaleidoscope combination. This is how it works. It makes me think of a shell game, or if I'm really dating myself here, the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. But right here, again, I'm just taking that pattern, I'm placing it back together how I had it originally. Take your left side, take half of that, flip it over onto the other side. That gives you the reverse image. And then to get your third combination, the bottom half, right on top. This, I think, explains it a lot simpler, and you'll be able to find those combinations a lot easier. Right here, of course, I have all 3 patterns laid out for you, so this completes my first set of the square kaleidoscopes. All right, so in creating our second set of kaleidoscopes, I am just going to be placing down the different patterns here from my triangle to my mirror to my square image, and then just starting to put the combinations together. So I'll let you guys go ahead and watch my hands talk as I complete up the second set of kaleidoscope canes, and then we'll move on to the third set of kaleidoscope canes, and I'll let my hands talk there as well. Okay, so this is the end result of the second set of kaleidoscopes. Use this for study and reference, and now we'll move on to the third set. Okay, this is the end result of my third set of kaleidoscopes here with the square. Use this for study and reference, but now let's move on and let's build some of our recipe boards. All right, so this is something I do with all of my kaleidoscopes. I cut a piece off at the very beginning. I make it into a circular form. I cut off a piece at that point. When I get it down to the triangle, I cut a piece off at that point, and so on. So I make the mirror ones, I cut a piece of those, and so on. Like I said, right here, I'm showing the three-part, the rounded kind of kaleidoscopes. I did not actually physically show you guys how I do it, but I think you guys get the idea. And really, all it's going to be doing in this form is that when you get it into that diamond shape type, the diamond shape of the kaleidoscope like I have here, you're just going to be cutting it into 3 sections and mirroring it, and that will give you the rounded kind of 3-part kaleidoscope that I make. When I do this and I cut these slices off and I've baked all of this, I glue this down onto this board, and this board is a 4x6 type board, so it will fit into like a photo box that you find at the craft stores. I love this. This is an easy way to remember and to figure out where I need to start when I want to create this. And you're like going, recreate it? Yes. This is why I go through this process, so I can go ahead and recreate this pattern anytime I want. And I will honestly say, when I go to recreate this, it doesn't always turn out exactly like the original. Sometimes, most of the time it does, okay? But a lot of it is dependent upon your canes. If you've got a hard cane along with the soft cane sitting right next to it, it can warp a little bit easier. I also have a tendency to go ahead and maybe change a little something here and there. And so if you're changing something a little bit within the original pattern, it's going to change also. But the thing is here, the idea behind it is that you get an idea of what you're going to be expecting in the end, what kind of a pattern you're going to get in the end. With all of this said though, I will have to admit, most of the time when I am recreating these kaleidoscope canes from the original set I've already done, well, when I do that, because the next cane might be, maybe just slightly different, but they are so close, and I mean so close to the original cane and the way it looks, that in most projects, it's not going to matter. Okay, so this is the result of creating all 9 of our square type of kaleidoscopes, and I glued this down to my board, so now I have this for reference for all time. Anyway, from here I also wanted to show you really quickly that I like using my photo boxes, and this is how I store these kaleidoscope boards. It really does make a huge difference. And you'll notice here, I got a lot of patterns. So don't be surprised if I start taking out a few of these patterns and start doing videos on some of this, because there's just so much here. And it's really kind of a shame I don't share some of this library with you. Okay, so one way in which I recreate my kaleidoscopes, and this is the original pattern before I glued it down. But even if it was glued down to the board, I wanted to show you, look, this was originally that cane. And I want to say it was like that green and white cane. I started out, I want to say it was close to 1.5 inches or 2 inches in diameter, whatever. I reduced it down, and I reduced it down to this point, right where I started to put the combination together. Right? So if you have a general sense of where you started at the very beginning, okay, and you reduce it down, you can reduce it down to the exact same size you had before, because you made this template at the very beginning. Oh my goodness, yay! You can document this, yes, right? So right here, that's what I'm doing. I'm using this piece as my guide. So I'll take all of these, once I get it all put together, that combination once more, I'll take all those pieces off again, and this way then I'll reduce it down and I'll have that same kaleidoscope set that I started with all over again. Okay, so this is the end result in creating my 3-part or rounded type kaleidoscopes. And then I also have my 4-part with my square kaleidoscopes. Please use these for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I am sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic kaleidoscoping day.